rock to its core.
Where's my son?
The Stenbeck War heats up. Temptation takes over.
It's about time you showed up.
An unholy alliance is revealed. And is it a rescue?
Come on, what are you waiting for?
Or a kidnapping? Don't lose a minute as the world turns on CBS Daytime.
Good afternoon, everybody. Ken Rice live in the KDKA TV newsroom right now at 4. Thousands of people lining up to honor the memory of former President Ronald Reagan. Throughout our newscast ahead, we have full team coverage. We're going to show you how Nancy and the Reagan family are reacting, who's showing up to pay their respects, and much more. And then talk about a wonder drug. We're going to show you a pill that's supposed to prevent heart attacks, cancer, maybe even more. And then at 5, police were helpless to stop this one-man rampage. Now find out what happened that made him do it. And at 6, see why your employer could be secretly inspecting everything you touch at work and how it even could end up getting you fired. It's all ahead, but first, all of today's top stories. KDKA TV News at 4 starts right now.
Now, KDKA TV News at 4.
Good afternoon. The country is now mourning the death of former President Ronald Reagan.
Mr. Reagan died Saturday of pneumonia at the age of 93, and today his body was moved from the funeral home in Santa Monica, California, to his presidential library in Simi Valley. The Reagan family held a brief private memorial, and within the past hour, thousands of people began to line up to pay their respects to the former president and his family. And those who can't make the trip to Simi Valley are finding other ways to remember the president, a man they say made people proud to be an American.
When I first came to this country and I was allowed to vote, I voted for him. So he was the first president I voted for. It means a great deal to me that I can pay my respect to him right here.
I'm a registered Democrat, and it doesn't matter. It's the man who helped bring down the Berlin Wall. There's so many feelings. It's just really hard to describe.
Did you say a prayer when you stood there?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember what you said?
Oh, God welcome him. Which I believe he will.
Our coverage of the death of President Ronald Reagan continues throughout our newscasts today. Coming up in this hour, we will show you how Washington, D.C. is preparing for the first presidential funeral in more than 30 years. And we will take you inside the Reagan's private life for a look at the love letters the president wrote to his wife, Nancy. At 5 o'clock, you will hear what Mikhail Gorbachev had to say about his former counterpart. And at 6, hear how local people are remembering the man known as the Great Communicator. We hope you'll stay with KDKA for complete coverage as the country continues to mourn and remember President Ronald Reagan.
Someone has been throwing rocks at cars on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. This car was one of several that was hit within just the past few hours. Now, one man says that a 2-pound rock came through his window and landed in his back seat. Bob Allen went to Monroeville today, where state police are now investigating.
You know, the rock was literally just laying right down inside the window.
Barney Spix was approaching the Center Road overpass just west of the Monroeville exit on the Turnpike when a grapefruit-sized rock came crashing through his backseat passenger window.
All of a sudden, I hear this explosion, like a shotgun going off, and I'm covered with glass, and I couldn't figure out what the heck happened.
At first, Spix thought he had been shot. State police say he was in one of 3 vehicles hit with rocks thrown from the overpass within seconds.
Went through the side window of the passenger car, went through the front window of the truck and the RV. Fortunately, no one was injured.
But people in those vehicles, including Spix, were sprayed with shattered glass. He's feeling lucky because it could have caused a major accident.
I mean, if it would have hit my windshield, I could have wrecked, or we could have crashed into each other, or somebody else could have hit us because we stopped or swerved or something like that. Yeah, I mean, a lot of bad things could have really happened. I could have gotten killed. To me, I mean, it's vandalism, but it's almost like, you know, somebody's trying to kill you.
Police are looking for a dark-colored car with a loud muffler that left the scene. They're reminding motorists to always be aware on the highway.
When you're driving underneath an overpass, look up. Try and be aware of your surroundings and what's going on. And if you are involved in this type of an incident, get the best description you can of the individual and the vehicles involved.
State police are hoping to get a better description of the vehicle, and they're asking anyone with information to give them a call. Meanwhile, Spix says he now has major safety concerns about driving on the Turnpike. In Monroeville, Bob Allen, KDKA TV News.
As Bob indicated, state police are continuing to gather information about a possible suspect. And coming up at 5 o'clock, we will have the latest on the investigation.
A frightening ordeal for a young girl. Police say she told them she was taken from her home last night at gunpoint and then forced into the woods and raped. The 15-year-old said that the suspects dumped her off and then she walked home where she told her mother what happened. Police have this man in custody on gun possession charges. He is 18-year-old Dale Jackson. The girl claimed he and 3 other men were involved. Police are looking for 3 others in connection with this incident as well. We will hear what police and the girl's mother have to say coming up at 5 o'clock.
Charges were withdrawn against one man who is accused of murdering a local couple. He was one of 2 men who have been accused in the killings, which were allegedly fueled by drugs. The coroner's inquest was originally scheduled for that case today, but it had to be continued. When it resumes next week, only one man will face a possibility of trial. Heinz Field has the story.
The truth will set you free, and maybe now they can focus on the right people who...
Minister Dorothy Mitchell was relieved to hear murder charges against her brother, William Kenley, were being withdrawn.
We stood behind him because we know that it's not him. And the bottom line is we want the truth. The truth is what we want here. The family, it's a tragedy what has happened. We feel bad for the family, but truly we need the right people who done this.
Kenley had been charged with the deaths of Marietta Cohen and William Wade. Their bodies were discovered inside this Kedron Street home last month by Cohen's young great-nephews who lived in the house. Their father, Dwayne Kirk, is also charged with the murders. Kirk's sister does not believe her brother could have killed his own aunt and her friend.
Okay, I know he's innocent. God's going to see me through. My aunt suffered. There's no way my brother would see my aunt suffer. And do it himself? That's ridiculous.
Heinz Field, KDKA TV News.
Some local hospitals are facing some tough economic times. When Westmoreland Health System and Latrobe Area Hospital merge next month, they will face combined losses of $13 million over the past fiscal year. Now, they are not alone. Hospitals in Westmoreland, Fayette, Indiana, and Washington counties say they are also losing money.
Well, the running back position is not up for grabs, and you will not be able to wear a headset and walk the sideline. But if you ever wanted to work at Heinz Field, this is your chance. A job fair is underway until 7 o'clock this evening in the East Club Lounge at Heinz Field. They're looking for people to staff Steeler and Pitt football games, as well as concerts at Heinz Field. Well, President Bush is back in the U.S. after touring Europe for the 60th anniversary of D-Day, but his work is not finished. The President and First Lady arrived, and they are now in Georgia, where the G8 Economic Summit begins tomorrow. And we'll be back with more in just a moment.
Frightening headline. Medical mistakes that could be prevented kill 98,000 people every year. These mistakes kill more people than auto accidents. Thousands more patients are permanently disabled. Most aren't told the truth about what happened. If you or someone you love is the victim of a medical mistake, Berger & Laniers has the experience to find out what really went wrong. Berger & Laniers. Call 1-800-350-6161 for a free consultation.
I want to be President of the United States because I love this country and I think it's going in the wrong direction. People are worried about how they're going to be able to have a retirement. How are you going to have health care? 43 million Americans don't even have it. This is wrong. In the richest country on the face of the planet, no American ought to be struggling to be able to have health care. It ought to be a right that we make accessible and affordable to every single American. I'm John Kerry and I approve this message.
Do you know us? We've helped millions of people get the money they need, hired dedicated employees to lend a hand, and opened over 2,000 locations to reach out coast to coast. Who are we? We're Advance America Cash Advance, the nation's leading payday advance service. And if you think all payday advance companies are the same, you don't know us. Advance America, money you can count on.
KDKA TV News at 4 with Patrice King Brown, Stacy Smith,
And Chief Meteorologist Jeff Rosella with your AccuWeather forecast. President Bush is back in this country after touring Europe for the 60th anniversary of D-Day. But his work is not done. The President and the First Lady are now in Georgia, where the G8 Economic Summit will begin tomorrow. Now, the President and the First Lady had planned, or they had to take a helicopter to get to the site of the summit.
Brian Andrews reports on why the world leaders chose an island for their annual meeting.
President Bush continues his busy schedule Monday after returning from D-Day anniversary celebrations in France to host the G8 summit set to begin Tuesday. The G8 group includes leaders of the world's major industrialized nations who are gathering in Georgia this week to conduct their annual meeting. Many of the dignitaries will stay on when the summit concludes to attend the funeral of President Ronald Reagan on Friday, a national day of mourning. Stiff security measures are in place as fears of terrorism and civil disturbance are a backdrop to the meetings. Helicopters, gunships, and a virtual army of police and National Guard troops will envelop the gathering to protect those attending. In the Sea Island community, local residents may be inconvenienced, but are taking the increased security in stride.
You know, you got the Army, all the police is working together. Yeah. You know, it's a sense of security.
Inside the summit, the war in Iraq is expected to take center stage among a series of issues regarding the Middle East and other topics of international concern. For President Bush, the meeting will be an opportunity to patch up relations with nations opposed to the war in Iraq, as well as shore up existing alliances. It's also a chance to continue his call for European nations to expand their roles in rebuilding Iraq after the June 30th handover. The G8 meetings are known for their violent protests, but in this case, with an island setting and a security force of up to 20,000 people, plus a Patriot missile battery just in case of any sort of attack, officials hope the president and his guests can get through their agenda without any disruption. Brian Andrews, CBS News, Washington.
It was a big day on Wall Street today. Let's take a look at the early closing numbers. As you can see, the Dow Jones Industrial Average for the day, it's the biggest gain in a long time, is going to gain nearly 150 points, up 148.26. The NASDAQ has broken back through the 2,000 level, gaining a big 42 points today.
Martha Stewart will have to wait a little longer to find out if she'll serve any jail time. Coming up, you'll find out why the judge postponed things for several weeks. And are we in for a repeat of today's beautiful weather? John Burnett has the AccuWeather forecast coming up. But first, the nation mourns former President Ronald Reagan. Up next, see how the country is remembering the great communicator.
Did you know your employer could be inspecting everything you touch at work? Today, starting at 5, we're going to show you what it is they're looking for and how it could get you fired. Plus, you could get a facelift, Botox, lip injections, but there's still something that gives away your age, your hands. Now see what you can do about them today, starting at 5.
Nobody does it better.
Russmer Floors Carpet One rolls out huge savings, thousands of choices of quality flooring. Hurry to Russmer Floors Carpet One and save on Anso Choice Carpet. Anso Choice Carpet, just $1.99 a square foot installed. Anso, tough by nature, fashionable by design. Hurry, sale ends Monday with 5 convenient locations, one in your neighborhood. Russmer Floors Carpet One, you stand on our good name every day.
The worse my congestion got, the longer my route took. Now, I'm clear to go.
I thought my old allergy medicine cleared up my symptoms. But Claritin D helped me find another level of clear. Claritin Clear.
Claritin Clear means non-drowsy relief from your worst symptoms, even congestion.
I used to focus on my sinus pressure, not the game. But Claritin gave me powerful prescription strength relief.
Non-drowsy 24-hour Claritin D.
There's clear, then there's Claritin Clear.
Circle these days on your calendar. Pack up your family. Come out to Nevillewood and spend some time with Mary Lemieux and his friends. 4 exciting days of fun, sun, and celebrities. Get your tickets at select Giant Eagle locations. Call Ticketmaster charge by phone or log on to mariolemieux.org and order online. The Mel and Mario Lemieux Celebrity Invitational, Thursday, June 10th through Sunday, June 13th at the club at Nevillewood.
Year after year in America, more people choose Ford than any other make of vehicles. They choose the best-selling truck in America 27 years running. They choose the full-size pickup with unsurpassed low-end torque in its class. They choose the only truck earned the right to be Motor Trend Magazine's 2004 Truck of the Year. And now you have the option to buy a 2004 Ford F-150 regular cab and get $2,500 cash back or take 0% APR. Make the right choice. Get to your neighborhood Ford store today.
Tomorrow at 9 o'clock on Pittsburgh Today Live, pain expert Tasso Spanos is back to help us get rid of shoulder pain. And the Clarks live tomorrow at 9 on Pittsburgh Today Live.
A makeshift memorial of flags, flowers, sympathy notes, even jelly beans continues to grow outside the Reagan Presidential Library and Museum in Simi Valley, California. Now, they serve as a tribute as the nation mourns the death of former President Ronald Reagan.
We wanted to just pay our respects to a great president. Yeah, just, somebody who came from nothing, didn't have anything, and aspired to be the president of the United States.
Long before his time in the White House, President Reagan graced the big screen, appearing in more than 50 movies. The former actor is the only U.S. president with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. In the past 3 days, that star has become a gathering place for mourners. Workers quickly prepare the Reagan Presidential Library for the crush of visitors who will pay their respects this week. Thousands of people have already lined up to pass through the library today and tomorrow to view the president's casket. And as former President Ronald Reagan lies in repose in California, Washington, D.C. is preparing.
The District of Columbia says it is going to put on a major state funeral. Elaine Zergani has the latest.
As a cloud of sadness hovers over the U.S., preparations are underway in the nation's capital for the first presidential funeral here since Lyndon Johnson's in 1973. Some 100,000 people are expected to pay their respects to President Ronald Reagan. And even for the top cop in charge of security, it's an emotional time.
When you're here, President Reagan has died, and you were hidden with this empty feeling in the stomach that we have to go to work and provide security for this event.
Reagan's body will arrive at the U.S. Capitol Rotunda Wednesday evening by a horse-drawn wagon, accompanied by a single drummer. Public viewing of the casket will begin 8:30 that night after the arrival ceremony, closed to all but family members. It is here where the president's body will remain for 24 hours a day until his funeral Friday at the National Cathedral.
With thousands expected to attend Friday, including world leaders, no one here is taking